This is activation lock. I'm assuming you've seen it. I know I've seen it. I work with iPhones. I see it all the time. And a lot of people will tell you these phones are trash now. But that's why I made this video, to tell you there actually is a way to bypass the activation lock. Believe me guys, I have spent, no lie, 10 months of my life going all over the internet, watching every video, reading every article, downloading, I don't even know how many applications, trying to figure out how to bypass the activation lock. And the good news is, I've got a whole list of them. And I'm gonna be showing you guys every single method to bypass the activation lock. I can't wait for this. Welcome to Boring Tutorials. This is the first ever episode where I try to take tutorials that are normally boring and just step one, step two, do this and do that, and then it works, and actually make them fun and entertaining. So hopefully you guys like this. If you guys have ever dealt with the activation lock before, you're not alone. Everyone has had to deal with this on an iPhone. While you won't be able to restore full functionality unless you absolutely have the original Apple account credentials, you still be able to bypass it and download apps and use the phone like normal, just not to make phone calls or text messages, but more on that later on. I've tried to make this super easy. Down in the description, I've got every single iPhone along with its time code. Just click on it, it'll take you straight to how to bypass it, and you can go ahead and get straight to bypassing yours. But before you do that, I do need to mention a couple things. You're not allowed to do this on stolen devices. Like, I feel like I shouldn't even have to say that, but I'm sure there are people dumb enough out there who would actually steal the device and then blame me for teaching them how to bypass it. So don't do this on stolen devices, okay? Just don't do that for me, please. In other words, this is only for educational purposes. Like, don't try and bypass a phone and then sell this saying it's perfectly functional, because it's not going to be perfectly functional, okay? This is only for iPhones that if you have one and it's old and you just want to get it up and running again, just because, then you can do the bypass at this point. Also, I've mentioned this a couple times already, don't expect full functionality from the iPhone. Every time you buy an iPhone, you set it up for the first time, it has to activate with some sort of cellular data network carrier. And if we're skipping activation, then it won't be able to activate with the cellular data network carrier. And therefore, you won't be able to make phone calls, you won't be able to send SMS, you won't be able to use cellular data network, you won't be able to do any of that because we're bypassing it. But you still will be able to connect to your regular network and download applications and use applications that require internet. That still works. So just because this is boring tutorials, I'm going to give you some technical stuff in case you're genuinely interested. How do you exactly bypass activation lock? Well, on older iPhones, you could actually just skip activation entirely and the iPhone would work great. Newer iPhones don't really work that way. They require what's called activation records. They need actual files proving that the device is activated. Well, that's a huge problem if activation lock is enabled, because then you can't get the activation records. So there's a very small handful of applications out there that create fake activation records, and then you turn on the phone, it detects those files, great. Phone works fine. Unfortunately, a 12 plus users, which is the iPhone XS, XS Max, and XR, or anything newer, unfortunately Apple just released iOS 18.7.3 along with 26.2. And both of these operating systems introduced a new patch to where you cannot, under any circumstances, modify the file system. So if you have one of these newer devices and it's passcode locked, your only option is to restore it, and they're not going to let you downgrade. You're only going to be able to restore it to either one of these, and then you'll have no access to the phone. No applications currently can get past this. Now, if someone does figure out how to bypass these newer operating systems anyway, then I'll make an update video at that point, but currently, not happening. But I am going to show you a couple of little tricks that you probably didn't know with these newer devices. If you ever want to play around with it, maybe you can find a way to break the system and get to the home screen anyway. But I'll show you that later on in the video. And so without further ado, let's get started. So the first iPhone I'm going to cover is iPhone 4. Now, just quick disclaimer, I own all of these devices. I just purposefully locked them myself with my own account just for this video. For whatever reason, I was not able to lock the iPhone 4. I guess iOS 7 is too old to connect. On my iPhone XS, I'm currently logged in under my Imagine Apple account. And as you can see, if I scroll down to where it says my iPhone 4, which is this one, it says Find My off. And you know what's even worse is that if we go into Find My, the stupid phone is in Find My. And yet it's off. I don't get it. But this method will still work even though the device isn't locked, it's not activated, so I'm going to show you anyway. So for the iPhone 4, you're going to need a couple of different things. A Mac computer. If you have a Hackintosh or something else like that, probably not going to work. So try to get your hands on a Mac. And on top of that, you're going to need a Mac with a USB-A port. For whatever reason, USB-C Macs have a really hard time putting the iPhone in DFU mode, and we're going to need to be putting it in DFU mode a couple times in order for it to actually bypass. And so get your hands on a USB-A Mac if you can, but if you can't, you can try using an adapter, USB-C to USB-A, or try getting a powered USB hub. Those I've heard also work, but I've never tried this, so I wouldn't bet my money on it. So we're gonna go ahead and get the iPhone plugged into the Mac. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna open up Terminal. If you can't find Terminal, just open up Spotlight and search for Terminal. I'm gonna make the window nice and big just so I can see what I'm doing. The first thing that you're gonna wanna install is command line tools. Basically, all the commands that you type in Terminal, it'll be like an extra layer of commands that can do extra things. And since we're gonna be coding a lot into this phone, like a developer, we're gonna want those command line tools. So I've got that linked in the description. If you just wanna cut and paste, that's the easiest in my opinion. It's gonna be the Xcode Select install. Now, as you can tell on my computer, it says the command line tools are already installed, but that's totally okay. And then the next thing we're going to download is the Legacy iOS Kit. This is one of my favorite tools when it comes to working with iPhones. I love this tool. Now, the link will take you straight to the releases, so just download the latest one. It'll be in the zip file. So just download that, unzip it, your Mac may do it automatically, and then I'm just gonna drag the folder straight to the desktop because like I said, that just makes my life easier. We'll now type in CD and then drag the folder straight into the terminal window and press return. Now to launch the Legacy iOS Kit, you'll have to type in /restore.sh and press the return key. Now when you first launch the script, it's going to install dependencies on your Mac, basically just little tiny files to make communicating with the iPhone possible, such as libUSB, iDevice activation. So once it does that, a super easy way to relaunch it is to press the arrow up key on your Mac and hit return again. That'll just redo the command you just typed in. So if your device is connected to your Mac properly, then the Legacy iOS Kit will launch. So using the arrow keys, we're gonna go down to Useful Utilities, and then we're gonna go down to where it says SSH RAM Disk. Now you'll be greeted with two different options, PON-DFU and KDFU. PON-DFU is basically DFU mode where you can actually communicate with the file systems of the iPhone. KDFU is basically the exact same thing, except you don't have to put it in DFU mode in the first place. The only problem is you have to jailbreak the phone in order to use KDFU, and if it's locked, then you really can't jailbreak it without actually getting to the home menu. So in this case, we're going to use PON-DFU, so just press return and then send the device into recovery mode. We'll hit yes. Okay, so the device will go into recovery mode. Now in order to put it in DFU mode, it's a little tricky, it requires a little bit of finesse, but you got this. So to put in DFU mode, basically you have to press and hold both the power button and the home button for 8 seconds, and then you let go of the power button but continue to hold the home button for another 8 seconds. The good news is the Legacy iOS Kit makes this super easy. You're gonna hit yes, it'll start the countdown, and then we'll begin to hold both buttons for 8 seconds as it counts down on the Legacy iOS Kit, and then we'll release the power button but continue to hold the home button for another 8 seconds. If you don't have a USB-A Mac, this is not going to work. And once the device goes into DFU mode, you'll see a whole bunch of text appear in the Legacy iOS Kit. This is just because it's creating what's called the RAM disk. Basically, a RAM disk is the terminal for iPhone. If you type out the commands on your computer, it'll send all those commands to the iPhone. And there you go, the RAM disk will be booting, you'll see a bunch of text, and then you'll just see the Apple logo with a little bit of a progress bar. On the Legacy iOS Kit, you'll eventually get these options. We'll just hit connect to SSH, hit return, and as you can see, it says SH 4.0 with the little number sign. That just means you're now talking straight to the phone. So we're gonna do a couple things real quick. I've got all of these commands listed down in the description, so just cut and paste, that's just gonna be the easiest. The first command is this one, mount HFS, this, that, and the other thing. This is simply going to make the file system on the iPhone accessible. It shouldn't return an error, but if it does, just redo that same command. The second command is going to delete setup.app. Setup.app is basically the application that's telling you, hey, the device is locked, you can't do anything about it. But if you delete the app, you're good to go. So once we do that, just hit return. It might take a second to load, but it will eventually delete. And the last command we're gonna type will reboot the iPhone. Reboot_back. The device should reboot, but in case it goes back into recovery like this, super easy, just do that up arrow, enter again. That'll take you back into the Legacy iOS Kit, and just hit exit recovery mode, and that'll reboot the phone just fine. And once the phone reboots, it should reboot straight into the lock screen. And there you go, the lock screen of iOS 7 in this case. So you can just slide to unlock, there won't be a passcode or anything, And there you go, you're in the iPhone. So you're probably thinking, will I be able to sign into iCloud and App Store and all those other things? Like I mentioned before though, I tried signing into iCloud and I was never really able to activate iMessage, FaceTime, or even Activation Lock for that matter. However, I was indeed able to sign into the App Store, both with it unlocked and locked. And the good news with this phone is this bypass is permanent, so you can reboot it as many times as you want. The battery can drain, you can turn it back on. It'll be just fine. This bypass is permanent. Okay, so iPhone 4S. This one's actually a little bit more tricky, and for whatever reason, it only works on Windows. So I don't actually own a Windows computer, so I decided to run boot camp on this old Mac and get Windows 10. So yeah, we've booted into Windows, as you can tell. And for whatever horrible reason, Windows 10 does not allow you to screen record natively, and I personally just haven't taken the time to find a third-party screen recorder, so just bear with me. Yeah, this will be fun. Also, I don't have a 4S. I only have the iPhone 4, which I just got done bypassing. At this point, if you want to click off the video, I wouldn't blame you, but hear me out for a second. And we're going to go to the link that I've provided in the description, which is the iRemove.tools. And we're going to just hover over the option that says free, and then bypass iPhone 4 4S activation lock. You're probably thinking to yourself right now, why didn't you just show this method with the iPhone 4? Because the method I showed you is actually way more stable than this version. So you just scroll down to where it says download software Windows. It'll immediately begin the download. I've actually already downloaded it, so I'm just going to cancel that. Once it's downloaded, you can just open up the file and extract the contents. I just extracted it straight to the desktop. That just makes my life easier. So then just open it up. So depending on the speed of your computer, this may take up to 5 minutes to turn on. It literally took me 5 minutes to turn on this application. I do not know why, but whatever. So once it gets turned on, connect your iPhone 4S. I'm sorry, folks, I really am. If I had an iPhone 4S, I would actually show you how to do it, but I don't yet. But like I said, this method does work, so just hear me out. As you can tell, mine's already activated because I deleted the setup app, but there's no actual activation records in here, so same story. So I've already done this once, but when you do this for the first time, instead of start bypass, you're gonna see order something, maybe order bypass, I can't remember exactly, I'm sorry. Anyway, just click that button, it'll open up a window, just enter in your name and your email and all that good stuff. They won't charge you anything, but you do need to give them that information if you want to actually complete the bypass. And then when you're done, just hit start bypass, it'll load for a little bit, it says bypass in process, don't disconnect your device, and then your device has been successfully bypassed. The device won't even reboot, it'll actually just keep loading, which is pretty awesome. The good news is you don't have to put it in DFU mode, you don't have to jailbreak it, you have to do anything, it just sends in the records. Okay, so iPhone 5 and iPhone 5C, both of these have the Apple A6 chip, and both of these can be bypassed by simply deleting the setup app. Now, if you just came from watching the iPhone 4, you already know this, but I'm going to explain it again anyway. You need a Mac. Hackintosh machines and Linux machines don't work very well for this particular thing, and you're going to need a USB-A Mac. For whatever reason, a USB-C Mac does not put the iPhone in DFU mode, and we need DFU mode in order to communicate with the file systems of the iPhone. If you can't get your hands on a USB-A Mac, you can try using a USB-C to USB-A converter. You can also try using a powered USB hub. I've read a lot. This supposedly works for a lot of people. I've never tried it, so don't bet your money on it. And so just go ahead and get the iPhone plugged into your computer. Now for the iPhone 5C, this is going to work just fine on iOS 10.3.3. For whatever reason though, the iPhone 5 does not work on iOS 10.3.3. If you delete the setup app, it just goes into a never-ending boot loop and you'll be stuck there forever. It's very, very annoying. However, you can natively downgrade the iPhone 5 to iOS 8, and iOS 8 works just fine. If you don't know how to downgrade the iPhone 5, I'll be making a video about that. It may already be out, depending on when you're watching this video. So go check that out if it is, and then go ahead and downgrade your iPhone 5 to iOS 8. So to begin, open up a new terminal window. You can do this by just going into Spotlight and searching for terminal. I'm going to make it big just so I can see what I'm doing. And the first thing that you're going to want to install is the command line tools. Basically, these are just extra tools for your Mac for developing purposes. So since we're going to be developing a lot on this phone, we're going to want those extra tools so we can just do extra things. And that code is in the description if you just want to cut and paste. Xcode select install. As you can see on my Mac, the command line tools are already installed, but that's okay. Just go and get those installed on your Mac. And then in the description, go to the link that says the Legacy iOS Kit. This will just take you to the latest release, and then download the latest version onto your Mac. Unzip the file. It may unzip automatically depending on your Mac. And then I'm just going to drag the folder straight into the desktop because that just Makes my life easier. And then in the terminal window, just type cd space and then drag the folder into the terminal window and hit return. In order to launch the script, just do /restore.sh and hit return. The first time you launch this, it's going to install what's called dependencies onto your Mac. Dependencies basically just make the Mac possible to communicate with the iPhone. That's all it is. And then to relaunch it, just press the arrow up key and hit return again. Super easy. And if your device is connected properly, then you'll get the Legacy iOS Kit window, just like this. So once we're in, we're gonna go down to where it says Useful Utilities. You can just use the arrow keys and hit return. And then we're gonna go down to where it says SSH RAM disk and hit return again. The RAM disk is basically the terminal for iPhone. If you type out a bunch of commands on your Mac, it'll just send those commands to the iPhone. It's actually really cool. So you'd be greeted with two options, PON DFU and KDFU. So in order to access the file system on the iPhone, you have to put it in DFU mode, but then you have to PON it with an exploit in order to actually access the file system. So we're gonna be using PON DFU mode because KDFU mode is basically the same thing, but it requires a jailbreak. And since the device is locked, jailbreaking it's going to be very difficult. So just hit return on PON DFU and then just hit yes on send to recovery. And there you go, my device is in recovery mode. You can see the red iTunes logo because I've downgraded to iOS 8. Now in order to put it in DFU mode, what you're going to do is you're going to press and hold the power button and the home button for 8 seconds. And after 8 seconds, you're going to release the power button, but continue to hold the home button for another 8 seconds. The Legacy iOS Kit makes this super easy. So once you're ready, just hit return on yes. It'll count down to 3 and then press and hold the power button and the home button for 8 seconds and then release the power button but continue to hold the home button for another 8 seconds. Once the device is in DFU mode, it won't actually show anything on the screen. It'll just be a blank, boring screen. But you'll see a whole bunch of text load on the phone and then you'll see an Apple logo with a progress bar. And once you see this, then you're good to go. The RAM disk has booted. So then you'll get these new options in Legacy iOS Kit. We'll hit connect to SSH, hit return. And once you see this SH 4.0 with the number symbol, that means you've connected to the phone and you're gonna be talking straight to the phone now. So now we're gonna type in 3 different commands. I have all of these linked in the description, so just cut and paste because if you do this wrong, you could actually brick the phone, and so don't do that. So the first command we're gonna type is this, mount HFS, dev disk something or other. This is just going to mount the file system so we can actually access them. Hit return. If it returns an error, then just try reloading that same command again. The second command is going to delete the setup app, which is this command, the remove command, and then the setup app. That's what we want. Hit return. It might take a second to load, but that's okay. Last command we're going to type is reboot_back. Hit return. This is just going to reboot the phone. If for some reason the phone reboots into recovery mode like this, just reactivate the Legacy iOS Kit by hitting the up arrow key and then hitting return again. And you'll see an option called exit recovery mode. Just hit that. And then the phone will reboot like normal. And as you can see, once this actually turns back on, it'll go straight into the lock screen. We'll just hit slide to unlock. And there we go, we're good to go. So the good news with this bypass is that it's permanent. You can reboot the phone, the battery can die, and you can turn it back on as many times as you want. Nothing's gonna happen unless you update it. Then it'll break at that point, so just don't update and you're good to go. But you can go in here, set a passcode, do everything you want, you're good to go. Now you may be wondering, can I sign into like iMessage, FaceTime, all those good things? You probably won't be able to sign into the Apple account simply because this iOS is too old. Even with it activated, I was never really able to sign into the account. You kind of really need iOS 10 to do that. But I was able to sign into the App Store, so you can download apps and you can still use them. It works like a normal phone again. It just won't be able to connect to any cellular data network, so you won't be able to make phone calls, send SMS messages, all the stuff I was explaining in the beginning. All right, that's iPhone 5 and 5C. Let's move on. Okay, time for the iPhone 5S and iPhone 6. And this can also be 6 or 6 Plus, either one. These devices had the A7 and A8 chips. Both of these architectures were very similar to each other and were way more secure than the previous versions. So you can't just connect to SSH and delete the setup app like you could on the older phones. That's just not going to work. So for these, you have 2 options. You have the free method and you have the paid method. For some reason, when you get into A9 and above, you don't have this issue, but for whatever reason, A7 and A8 is like that sweet spot. And there's like very few applications out there that can actually support it. So I've mentioned this before, but you're going to need a Mac, Hackintosh, Linux, not going to work very well. You're also going to need a USB-A Mac. For whatever reason, a USB-C Mac does not put the iPhone in DFU mode. and we need DFU mode in order to communicate with the file systems of the iPhone. If you can't get your hands on a USB-A Mac, you can try using a USB-C to USB-A converter. You can also try using a powered USB hub. I've read a lot. This supposedly works for a lot of people. I've never tried it, so don't bet your money on it. So I'm going to go ahead and get my iPhone connected, just like this. So I'm going to show you the free method before I show you the paid method. So in order to do the free method, the first thing you're going to need is Python. So just go to python.org, link in the description, and just download the latest release. You'll then need to install Python once you've downloaded the package. You can delete the package, it's okay. And then we're going to download this tool called Fearrain. At least I think that's what they're trying to say. Now this is a very old tool and is very difficult to use, but I'm gonna show you how to use it, so don't freak out. So you're just going to click on where it says download and install the tool on your PC or Mac. So then you'll just choose your version. So I'm gonna choose Mac OS. And then you'll hit download Fearrain installer for Mac OS. So yeah, we'll do that. So the DMG will go to your downloads folder. So just open that up. And then you can see the application. Just drag this over to your applications folder. Then you can eject the disk image, you're good to go. Then just go into Spotlight and search for Fearrain. When this message comes up, just hit open. Okay, so this is a lot of stuff and it's kind of hard to see what in the world is going on. Don't freak out. So once you get it launched, go ahead and close it actually, because you're going to need to do this or it will not work on a newer Mac. Go into System Settings or System Preferences, depending on your Mac OS version. Go to Privacy and Security and go down to where it says Full Disk Access. And then add Fearrain to the list. Because for whatever reason, macOS won't allow this application to communicate with the phone unless you do this, so make sure you do that. Then you can just relaunch Fearrain at that point. So once your device is connected, you'll see it appear right here, which, fun fact real quick, I actually found an iPhone 5S that was locked, and that's what got me started 10 months ago on this whole journey to try and figure out how to bypass the activation lock. You're gonna find the option that says Test Compatibility and Activate. So you may get this message, and this is actually very important. Get to this screen. So turn on the phone, connect it to the internet. That is required if you want to activate this. So we'll just hit OK. And then we'll need to jailbreak the phone. So hit OK. And then we'll just hit continue. This will send the device into recovery mode. Once the device is in recovery mode, we'll need to put it in DFU mode. Now this is both the same with the 5S, 6, and 6 Plus. We're going to press and hold the power button and the home button for 4 seconds. Then we're going to release the power button, but continue to hold the home button for 8 seconds. So we'll just hit continue. We'll just press and hold for 4 seconds. And then we'll release the power button, but continue to hold the home button for another 8 seconds. You may get this warning that tells you may have to jailbreak the phone a couple times. That's totally okay. Just hit OK. And there we go, the phone will boot. You'll see the jailbroken logo along with some text. And once the jailbreak actually completes, you'll get this little check option with checker 1 in. That's what we wanted. The phone will probably respring a couple times just to make sure it's actually compatible with this script. So now we'll see use hello activation without signal free or use hello activation without signal A7 to A11. So for now, we're just gonna hit use hello activation without signal free. So click that. The phone will probably respring a couple times just while it's processing all this stuff in the background, so just keep that in mind. And there you go. Once the phone resprings, you'll get this long message that says it cannot power off, iCloud, iMessage, all those other things are disabled, so you can just close all of that. You'll also get a message here that says the device is activated and some other things, so hit OK. So you can just set up the phone like normal. And the good news with the iPhone 5S, 6, and 6 Plus, the chips weren't crazy secure yet, so you can actually set up Touch ID if you want. You can even set up a passcode, and there we go. Welcome to iPhone. Get started. Good to go. Now, this thing does say you won't be able to sign in to use iMessage and FaceTime and all that good stuff, and that part is true. You will not be able to actually sign into your Apple account and use iCloud. But I was able to sign into the App Store and download some apps, but it took forever for some reason. I don't know why, but it seems to take like 3 times longer to do that, but okay. Here's also the issue. If the battery were to die or if you were to reboot it, check this out. This is what happens. And while you will see the passcode screen again, it'll take you back to the setup app. So just hit continue, but then unfortunately, it'll be locked again. Then you've got to redo the jailbreak. You've got to redo the activation every single time this happens, barring I personally wouldn't want to have to deal with this all the time. My personal preference, I would actually highly recommend the paid method. And you may be thinking, no, I don't want to spend money. Hear me out. Because I've actually bought the paid method before, and it's amazing. You can sign into all of your iCloud stuff. You can download all the apps you want. You can reboot it as many times as you want. You can let the battery die as many times as you want. And it works flawlessly. Obviously, you still can't connect to cellular data network like I was explaining in the beginning of the video, but that's way better than having to deal with this all the time. And I tried looking for a whole bunch of other untethered options, but I couldn't find any besides the paid method. And like I said, it actually works really, really well. You don't have to take my word for it if you don't want to, but I would just, I would highly, highly recommend this method. So go to the website in the description, iRemove Tools, and go down to where it says Bypass iCloud Activation Lock Screen Tool. And then you'll just download the latest software. This does work on Windows, but once again, putting it in DFU mode may be a little hard with Windows. It'll take you to this website called mega.nz. That's totally okay. And then you'll just see this little option up here in the top right, download, and there you go. Now we'll just open up the file, and you'll see the package. And the package will install onto your computer, so I'm just gonna go ahead and run this. Then we can just close that, and we can delete everything if you want. Now we can search for iRemove and Spotlight. And the good news is you don't have to give it full disk access if you don't want, even though I'd still recommend it, but most of the time it works without that permission. So now we're gonna go ahead and reconnect the phone. And there you go, iRemove will load for a second to make sure it's compatible, and if it is, you'll see Order iCloud Bypass, no signal. Now you may be thinking, okay, it's paid, but I'm willing to do it. How much do I gotta spend? The good news for the iPhone 5S, $5. For the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, $8. Really not that much at all. So it'll give you the order form with your IMEI right here. Just type in your name and email, and if you have a promo code, you can use it. They actually go on sale quite a bit, which is pretty awesome. Then you'll just scroll down to the bottom where it says accept agreement, and you'll buy now, enter in your card information, all that. Like I said, I've done this with several phones before. I haven't had any credit card issues. I haven't had any fraud issues. It works flawlessly every single time. So yeah, you can trust me on this one. So I'm not actually going to buy a new bypass for this phone because, like I said, I actually own this phone and I can unlock it for free. But I do have one phone here that I have used with iRemove before. So I'm just going to plug it in and show you. Once you order the bypass, just go back into the application and you'll see a new option that says start. And the good news is once you buy it, it's yours forever. You can erase the phone. You can do it as many times as you want. You'll never have to rebuy it. It's permanent, which is pretty awesome. Now this is an iPhone 8 that I bought the bypass for, but basically you'll just jailbreak the phone like we did before, and then you'll just hit start one more time and it'll bypass the device, and that's it. The process is super easy, super user-friendly. This is honestly my favorite. Crazy cheap, they're not trying to scam you, it works. I absolutely love iRemove. Highly, highly recommend this to you guys. Instead of just trying to do the free method, I actually would highly recommend the paid method because it just works so much better. All right, that's iPhone 5S, 6, and 6 Plus. Let's move on. Okay, so for the iPhone 6S or 6S Plus, 7 or 7 Plus, 8 or 8 Plus, or even 10, all of these phones are by far the easiest and they're free to bypass. Hallelujah. So I've mentioned this before, but you're going to need a Mac, Hackintosh, Linux, not going to work very well. You're also going to need a USB-A Mac. For whatever reason, a USB-C Mac does not put the iPhone in DFU mode, and we need DFU mode in order to communicate with the file systems of the iPhone. If you can't get your hands on a USB-A Mac, you can try using a USB-C to USB-A converter. You can also try using a powered USB hub. I've read a lot. This supposedly works for a lot of people. I've never tried it, so don't bet your money on it. So in order to use this application, we're gonna need Python, so let's go and get that installed. So just go to python.org, link in the description, and just download the latest release. You'll then need to install Python once you've downloaded the package. And you can delete the package, it's okay. And once you get Python installed, we'll just go ahead and go to the Always Apple FTD website. Now, just as a quick reminder, if you're using some sort of an internet blocker, or if you have like a Spectrum router system, for some reason, this website gets blocked most of the time, so you may have to use like a VPN or something if you want to access this. I don't know why. So we'll just scroll down to where it says Locra 1in, and we'll click this button, Get Locra 1in. Scroll down to the bottom and then download the latest version onto your Mac, which for this video, it's version 3 beta 3. So once you get that installed, this is crazy important. Go into System Preferences or System Settings, depending on your macOS version. go to security and privacy, and then go down to full disk access. And then make sure you add Locra 1N to the list because it's going to need full disk access in order to actually communicate with the iPhone. So at this point, you can go ahead and plug the phone into the Mac, and then we'll just open up Locra 1N. You can search for it in Spotlight. You'll get this extremely long disclaimer, which is basically the same thing I was telling you guys at the beginning of this video. Don't do it on stolen devices, etc., etc. We'll just hit agree, and then you'll just hit OK. So we'll hit bypass iCloud lock iOS 15 to iOS 18 untethered. I believe this is a typo because, like I said, iOS 18 is currently not possible to bypass. So we're going to assume it means iOS 15 to iOS 16. And then we're going to hit prepare Locra 1N. We'll just hit OK. This is going to install dependencies onto your Mac. Dependencies are basically just little tools for the Mac to communicate with the iPhone, such as libUSB, iDevice activation, and a couple others. Once it's done, just hit OK. If for some reason this fails, try reinstalling Python. Okay, now we'll just hit bypass device normal mode. Now I've already registered this device with Locra 1N, so I'm going to use the device that I haven't registered yet and just show you what the process is like. So I was able to find a device that wasn't registered yet. I've registered so many phones. Basically, this is what the process looks like. You'll get a notification that says visit registration page. That's what we want. So we'll go here. And then on the website, we'll scroll all the way down to the bottom to where it says device serial number. So in order to find the device serial number, go to the lock screen of the iPhone and you'll see a little I in the bottom right. Click that, and where it says SN, you'll see the serial number right here. Just enter in that serial number into the space right here. And then once you're done, just close the website and go back into the application and once again hit bypass device normal mode. If for some reason this doesn't work though, just close Locra 1N and reopen it. And there we go, we'll get the notification that says jailbreak your device. So you must put your iPhone in DFU mode in order for this to work, and this is a little tricky depending on your iPhone model. For the iPhone 6S and 6S Plus, it's the same as all the others. Just press and hold the power button and the home button for 8 seconds, and then release the power button but continue to hold the home button for another 8 seconds. For the iPhone 7, it's very similar, except it's the power button and the volume down button instead of the home button. But for the iPhone 8 and iPhone 10, this is very tricky actually. You actually have to press volume up, volume down, and then press and hold the side button for 10 seconds, then press and hold both the power button and the volume down button for another 5 seconds, and then release the power button but continue to hold the volume down button for another 8 seconds. I mean, it's very confusing, but watch. Up, down, side, down, release side button. And there we go, this device is in DFU mode. So then we'll just hit I've entered DFU mode on the screen. Now the application will crash if you have not given it full disk access, so make sure you've done that. If for some reason the jailbreak does not work, you can actually just use Locra 1N. Just go to the website, I have it linked in the description, hit download, macOS, and then we'll just copy this command right here, and then just open up a new terminal window and paste that command. And there we go, Locra 1N is now installed. So then we're just going to type Locra 1N, and we're going to do rootless, so then hit -L. And there you go, the jailbreak will begin to run. You'll see the jailbreak logo and then some text. And there we go, the iPhone will finish and it will be jailbroken. And I believe the issue is simply because there's a newer version of Locra 1N that works way better, and Locra 1N just hasn't been updated yet, but that's okay. So then just open up Locra 1N again. We'll hit bypass device, continue. Now instead of hitting I've entered DFU mode, we're gonna hit already done jailbreak. And then we'll hit OK, and then we'll just hit OK again. Make sure the phone is booted up into this screen, and then you're good to go. Give it a few seconds to load, and there we go, the iPhone will reboot. You'll get iCloud bypass done. Just hit OK. If for some reason the app just does nothing and the iPhone does not reboot, make sure you've added it to full disk access. So now we can go ahead and disconnect it if you want, and you can just set up the phone as normal. And as you can see, when it tries to activate, it will detect those activation records and it will activate just fine. Now, warning for iPhone 7 and iPhone 8 users along with iPhone 10 users. Do not set up Touch ID or Face ID or passcode, because this will delete the jailbreak and you will not be able to re-jailbreak it unless you erase the phone completely. So don't do that. So we're just gonna hit set up Touch ID later. Do not use, do not set a passcode. Whatever you do, Like I said, this will delete the jailbreak, and it will be impossible to re-jailbreak it and re-bypass it unless you completely erase the device. So we're just gonna hit don't use passcode. Now here's what's amazing. With these devices, you actually can set up the Apple account and you can sign into iMessage and FaceTime and all that. I'm not going to in this case simply because I don't want to, but that's okay. And there we go. Welcome to iPhone. Now, like I've mentioned, you can sign into your Apple account, you can sign into the App Store, you can do everything that you want. You just will not be able to activate the cellular data network because, like I said, we skipped activation. Whatever you do, don't set up Touch ID, don't set your passcode. And this phone, you can turn it off, you can reboot it, the battery can die as many times as you want. The bypass is permanent. Okay, so you guys who have the A12 chip or newer, first of all, I've got bad news for you. Unfortunately, in December of 2025, Apple released iOS 26.2 and 18.7.3. Any device that has the A12 chip or newer, which would be the iPhone XS, XS Max, or XR, or anything newer, will get either one of these updates. And these updates introduced a new patch which basically allows for 0 modifications to the file system. We can't access the internal files, we can't give it fake activation records, we can't do anything. Now, some of you guys posted that you actually had an application that worked for these phones, and trust me, I did too for quite a long time. But unfortunately, with this new update, there's currently no method whatsoever. Not Fear Rain, not iRemove like I used before, nothing. However, there is a little bit of good news. This is my iPhone XS, and if I go into General and I go into About, you'll see I'm still running 17.5. And that is good news. If you're running any operating system older than these versions, then you actually still have a chance. I would use iRemove.tools. That's probably the best in my opinion. Go back to the iPhone 5S, 6, and 6 Plus if you want to learn how to use that application. But more than likely, if it's passcode locked, you're going to have to restore it, and it's only going to restore to either one of these operating systems, and it's bricked. However, with iOS 17 and iOS 18, there was an interesting bug that I'm pretty sure is still in iOS 26, but I don't have an iOS 26 device on me to test it, so you can try it yourself. If you get to this screen, you can go into here and you can type in iCloud.com and then here / shortcuts. Now you can just triple tap all of it and you can hit open link. And this will actually take you to the Shortcuts app. Some of you, this may be awesome, like great, we bypassed it. Well, it's not really bypassed. You still won't be able to go home. You still can't get Control Center. You still can't. It still doesn't work, but the application does work. And so there are a couple things you can do. So like we can hit go to home screen like this, hit done. And that will take us for like literally a split second to the home screen, but it doesn't really work. You can do this and like kind of grab it and you can kind of like see the home screen. And if you're good at it, you can kind of like scroll around or do whatever. But I mean, if you let go of it for a millisecond too long, it takes you straight back here. There's a couple other ones you can do. For all these shortcuts, you can just add a new shortcut, and then we can do show Control Center, hit done, and then you can click it, and that'll actually show us the Control Center, and you can navigate through here. You can actually edit it if you want. You can hit like add control, and there's a whole bunch of things you can do if you're on iOS 18, for example. Like we can hit level, take us to the level, but it's obviously not going to work. And then you can also activate like things like the flashlight, which that works, which is pretty cool. And you can access things like True Tone, Night Shift, Dark Mode if you want. Now you can access a couple other things. For example, Freeform, if you hit New Board, it'll actually take you to the Freeform app and you can adjust it and you can create different things if you want. You can also hit like New Note if you want. This will take you into Notes. You can actually write down a couple notes if you want. But in the end, I mean, there are still definitely going to be some things that just absolutely don't work. So for example, if I do camera, we can do like open camera, but I mean, it's not going to work. There are a couple other things. If you wanted to go to a website, you can just write it down in notes, haptic touch into it, but then like you actually can't do anything. It won't actually open up Safari or anything. I mean, this is very, very limited access to the phone, but it is more than just device lock to owner. So, you know, that is a good benefit at least. But in the end though, like this really still isn't a bypass. This is just kind of a quirk that people have found and have tried playing with it. And you can actually look up like bypass activation lock with the Shortcuts app, and a whole bunch of different people will show you different ways you can actually get into the home screen and use it like a normal phone. Spoiler alert, they're all scam, none of them work. I promise this is about the only access you're gonna get on a device that's A12 or newer. There's always good news though. If someone can figure out how to bypass the new patch that Apple made, then I am sure someone will absolutely make a script or an application to bypass this. But until that day comes, this is the most access you're gonna have, so sorry about that. Well, there you have it. If you happen to watch like the entire video, then good job, because as this was a long video. Hopefully these methods worked for you. And if they didn't, let me know down in the comments, because this is the 2026 update. So depending on when you're watching this may be long and outdated, and I'll probably have another update. But that is every single method that I have been able to find in my 10 months of doing research on how to bypass the activation lock. And hopefully it worked for you. And if it didn't, like I already mentioned, let me know, because I'm willing to help. These things can be a little finicky at times, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, and that's what I do. I mean, that's what my whole channel is about. It's trying to figure out these problems that technology is giving us and then find solutions to them. So, well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned a lot, and hopefully you actually got your iPhone bypassed, because that would actually be really cool, and that would mean a lot. And like I always say, if you've been around here long enough, now it's your turn. Go find something to fix. Alrighty, catch you in the next one.